And welcome. It is going to be the one, the only L3IRD here again with you today. And I was about to do something really quickly. I am accidentally starting a game right now, per se. I kind of messed up on the transition, but that is what it is. Hello, welcome again. It is going to be L3IRD. Just be here with you all for a little bit. I'm actually going to start up the show in a little bit, but I wanted to say a few little things before we start. So, hi, welcome to episode number 10. It is the Support Wars here with you. It's going to be L3IRD. And before we begin, I want to thank Esports, Definitive Esports, for helping me run this show. If you want to check them out, you can check them out over on that side. I think that's right, if I'm pointing right on the right camera, which is the opposite, so it should be right there. Yeah, Definitive Esports, so definitiveesports.com or d-esports.com. You can check out the YouTube at Definitive Esports, the Twitter d_esports, and yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. And if you want to check out their Facebook, you can check out their Facebook too, Definitive Esports, facebook.com/Definitive Esports. But anyway, so that's first out of the way. I think the second thing I have to say is thank you to the sponsors up above me right quickly. BenQ, Zowie, and Antec. Really cool people. Give me some stuff like the Zowie headphones I'm using right now, my new keyboard, my mouse, not my PlayStation, but you know, other good stuff like that. I mean, they're a really cool company. All three of their sponsors, so please do check them out. And I'm still getting into this game right now. It's really sad that I accidentally did this while we were starting, but we're here about Support Wars, and we wanted to talk about some of the few things I wanted to do right before the show. And right before the show, I was talking about who is your favorite support. If you saw the tweet, that's cool. If you're not, you probably got it a little late, / it was kind of late on my notice on the part of, you know, like 10 seconds before the show. But who is your favorite support? I had some responses from people out on the Twitter webs. We had it from the Logers Alwenia, the creator of Logirls. She said that Leona was her favorite support, and SOTL State of the League Dominic, he is the support writer for the State of the League show, also said Leona because she makes plays happen in lane better than any other support. I would agree with that as well. I feel like Leona's a better Scylla Q-esque support champion. / she actually does really well in team fights and in team ranked games and team engagements. But it's dependable. Difficult to say if you can get it, because solo queue depends on less communication than usual, and that's why Leona is one of the greatest supports in the game right now. Sintich over here, another summoner who's actually in the chat room right now, showing it out over there. Go ahead and check it out on Definitive Esports. She said Taric / Soraka. Taric is a better per se support to have in a rank 5 game / a rank team game / even solo queue per se, but Leona just does a little bit better without as much communication. With Taric, when using that Dazzle in to get into a carry or into a support, you have to kind of time it in together, because I mean, Dazzle only has a 1.5 second stun. So if you can't get into like a damage ratio of like 50% onto whatever your target is with the Dazzle, then you kind of just waste the Dazzle, and the CDs for Dazzle / the mana that it consumes for Dazzle is really tough. So it is hard to use Taric per se in a way as a support if you can't time with your communication on the AD carry. While with Leona, it's not as punishable per se, just because you can start off with Xenoblade and you have like a 0.5 second stun ratio right there, and then you just follow up with Shield Daybreak, which I think people are getting that a little bit earlier now. It's about 2-3 seconds at like a level 5 if you actually start off with a level 3 or the rank 3 Daybreak. That is the Q ability for Leona, and yeah, I mean, you can have a pretty good stun ratio. Other thing she said, since she said, was Nautilus, and Nautilus is a really interesting support. I think better used in the jungle right now, just because yeah, he provides so many gank abilities. As a support, I like him as well, but you don't really get the same kind of effect as you would when he is in the jungle. I think a lot of people say he's an average support per se, but I think he's actually a pretty good support. It's just he's going to be falling off if you actually don't feed him up a little bit, because Wrath of the Titan usually for the jungle is the way to go, while in support lane you're probably going to go get Rapid Titan about 2 or 3 levels just because you need to get tanky once you start engaging with Dredgeline and Riptide. That is the Q ability and the E ability respectively. But it's not going to really work out for you per se if you kind of just go Riptide first or Dredgeline first, because you're just going to go in and they can just focus you down, and technically Nautilus is not that tanky if you don't have Rapid Titan. So the W ability slash his health shield thing that makes him deal AoE damage is really crazy. I don't know why he has that, but it's good stuff anyway as well. And last thing I was going to say is Soraka, which will be get into the topic of the day. Soraka, well, this guy over here on the Reddit web is going to be talking about how Soraka helped him out and helped him be a better carry. He learned pretty much just playing the normals and everything. He dropped down to blah 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 blah, some elo range that was really sad, right? And then he started playing Soraka. Soraka is a basic support, really good support. She is the definition of a sustained support because she has a heal with her W and Divine Blessing, and then her ultimate, which is Wish, is a AoE heal that's ridiculously good. So it's a really good babysitter per lane, but the thing that he was doing, Mr. I Lost Pastor, and I'm gonna go link this in the page right now. The thing he was doing is learning about trading. We talked about this on episode 9. I don't totally remember the title of that episode, which is really sad, but it is so many AD carries, so many ADs, so little time. You know, trading is a really important thing in all aspects of laning, even for the support. And if you can get that support actually helping you out on trading, it will really help out your AD carry, help you out win the game, and help deny their AD carry their support into any lane presence, any levels, or anything like that. So it's really good to see, you know, people actually talk slash learn slash listen about trading for AD carries, first of all, because that's the important thing. AD carries do need to trade, but it's also really important that the support leads out usually, so that AD carries can actually focus on last hitting, getting those last hits, and getting that gold with harassing, while the support can get that harassing plus zone out the AD carry slash support, which will deny levels, deny their AD carry, wow, their AD carry some gold, and it'll be really worth it per se. This is usually a thing within solo queue. It can be used in ranked team 5s, but usually in solo queue you'll see like a big difference between supports who don't know how to trade and supports who do know how to trade, definitely. So we're going to be starting up with a little bit of a video with, unfortunately, a bad losing streak for me, but it is what it is. It's fine. I think I got it right. Nope. Yeah, I got it right. So we're going to be starting up. Nope, not this game. It was... Sorry about that, guys. Lots of things open. Okay. So we're going to be starting off with this thing. I'm going to be playing the Janna versus with Ashe, and we're going to be playing against Graves and Sona Home. Let's go back a little bit because that just happened. So Janna in general is a sustaining support technically as well, but with the Eye of the Storm shield, she is a very solid support, and she can sustain for their AD carry. Ashe is a decent AD carry in the beginning go, has a really weak early phase, but has a really great mid game phase to late game phase. She is very strong, just because of the Treated Crystal era. I mean, that is one of the best initiates in the game, period. So we're going to be starting up over, let's go skip a little bit. I skipped a little bit too far back. Hold on. Let's go like over here. Okay, so we're in lane phase. We have a Shaco in the jungle, but we are trying to zone out Mr. Dux223, and we do pretty much do that the whole game, right? I use Howling Gale to kind of get in there and poke away. I use my auto attack to try to get in onto him, but he does know, and he does know this little trading technique, so he cannot really do anything. So right now I'm just zoning him out per se, and I'm going to get caught for doing that as well. But really quickly, what is trading? Trading is just exchange of blows but deny damage to yourself. So you want to you know, trade up. As a support, you want to trade up as, I just jumped right there, as a support, you want to trade up with an ability. So technically, if you're Soraka or if you're Janna, you want to use your heal or your shield to kind of get in there while your AD carry is like super full. Like, if your cooldown for your heal is about 11 to 12 seconds, right? And you want to get in there, but your AD carry is pretty much pushed, sorry, let me pause this, like right over here. And their AD carry is like right over here. As long as your AD carry is still at full health, about 85% or more, you want to just kind of pressure more. So you want to do a trade up with their AD carry, shoot some a little bit of bananas, or shoot some a little bit of, I don't know what Janna actually shoots, I think it was like snowflakes, something like that, and hit them down for a little bit, because a little bit of damage in the early game between level 1 to 5, I mean most AD carries, most people in the game are pretty low in health, so you want to just give them those extra shots and then you can heal yourself up if you do take a lot of damage. If you don't, like I try to stay as close to a bush as much as I can so that I can not take that much minion aggro and then come back from it. Then you can do that. It's really good, really strong. You leave their AD carry down about 100 health down, while yourself is like what? You're gonna take like 50 to 150 damage, right? But your AD carry is gonna be at full health, pretty much just denying their AD carry, which is really strong. So definitely, you want to use your trading as a example to kind of win your lane. What is commitment? I won't be seeing that really soon, I think, because my Ashe just kind of went back. But commitment in general is when your support or if your AD carry kind of go in onto their AD carry and you have to commit to the damage. We'll be seeing, I don't think we'll be seeing it really soon because I do think the Sona kind of disconnects, so we just zone out the Graves over here. But commitment in this kind of instance would be like Graves comes into our Cactus right here, our Ashe, goes in with that quick draw to Buckshot. The Sona player, who was the support, you didn't really see her right now, but the Sona player would have to come in, try to get some power chords in there, and then damage me or damage Cactus down as much as you can. Because the first person who commits in a fight usually is the person who has to, unfortunately, maybe perish. So if you commit with your AD carry, commit with your support, then you can protect them and as well probably pick up a kill. It is usually dependent on the communication. Right here you see some harassment from me again. I didn't take too much damage, but I did take a little bit, so I had to back away in a little bit. But Cactus didn't take too much damage until he took minion aggro, which is really sad. But sorry, my train of thoughts was a little off right there. But the AD carry has to kind of stay back. So sometimes you'll see in solo queue, the support goes in and actually damage down onto the AD carry, right? But then you see the AD carry kind of just stay back and do nothing. That is probably the biggest problem that you will see in solo queue ranked, in solo queue in general, without communication. Especially if you're on communication, you're on Ventrilo, you're on TeamSpeak or whatever, and you're like communicating really well with your team, you better know that, you know, in the lane phase you want to go in, tell them that you're going to go in, because if you don't, that's really tough, because that means you had the ultimate like opportunity to communicate, but you didn't communicate, which is really tough to see. Really quickly, what does the support do in the lane phase right now? So, really quickly, this is actually kind of a bad game to actually get into, but I mean, it was the only real example of me actually playing a support that was actually aggressive like this and actually could poke down as much as I can. Usually for my lane phase, in general, my lane phase, for my solo queue, I'm around the 1400, 1500 elo player. You want to just kind of ward up and get that lane brush in so that you can deny that vision in the beginning, slash pressure up their support, just pressure up their AD carry. But you usually have to kind of rotate around and find ways to ward up right over here, right quick. Right over here into that little spot I usually say is a secret slash cheat spot, but usually I dragon and I try brush. But otherwise, you pretty much just stay in a lane, try to damage down on their AD carry or support. I mean, that is pretty much what my role as a support is, especially with Janna, especially with Soraka. Like sustained supports, supports I can poke, definitely. But if I'm like Leona, or if I'm like anything like a person that has a stun, like a Nautilus or so, or a Taric, you kind of want to lead in first because you're the one who has to start the engage. You're the one who has to, you know, damage down the people. So that is pretty much what your goal is as a support. If you're Tark or other very aggressive supports per se. If you're a sustain support, if you're a support that just helps out a little bit, like Janna, like a Soraka, all you have to do is just shield up onto your AD carry, or you have to wish up your AD carry while giving some damage back to their AD carry, their support. When to approach. Approaching in the game of League of Legends, just like trading, I mean, it is what it is. You have to kind of get in there when you want to. You can't just let it be very passive, right? So you want to approach their AD carry or their support when your minion waves are pretty low. When their minion wave is pretty low and your minion wave is pretty high, you definitely want to engage in. But the problem is, if their minion wave is pretty low, the opponent's AD carry, they're not going to really go in there, and they're not going to actually take the bullets, because why would they want to take a lot more damage plus try to damage in? So you're going to see oftentimes more than not, the AD carry have to back away while their AD carry is going to be pushing up. I mean, that's just how the example is right now for this game. But you know, you have to kind of just get in there when you can. So definitely the most advantageous way of approaching, like right now, would be just getting in there while there's no minions / least amount of enemies going to be damaging you down. While their best approach way right now for Graves and for Sona, who just comes back right now, would be around their tower. I mean, definitely tower diving is not the best thing for definitely a Janna, who is not very strong, not very tanky, and for Ashe, who is very squishy, not very mobile per se. So there are the two instances you want to kind of approach in. Of course, you want to approach in if you have a ganker, if you have your jungler kind of coming around, or your mid lane coming around, or your top lane for that instance coming around and ganking in. For this specific matchup, you know, Sona, Graves versus Ashe and Janna. I mean, pretty much you want to engage in if you're Graves and Sona really early. Unfortunately for not, Sona did DC, and she is at level 2 while Graves is at level 6. But yeah, you want to engage in pretty early to do a lot of damage, because, you know, Graves, a general vanilla kind of character. I've been talking about this way before, because I mean, I love Graves, and I played him ever since like the first time he released. I played so many ranked games with him. I played so many games with him. This gets so boring. All you do is quick draw, buckshot, and then you play smoke screen, and then you buckshot one more time. Wow, that Ashe arrow is so bad. And then you press smoke screen, and then you buckshot again, and collateral damage win game. Like, the damage output from Graves is just so amazing. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. That's cool. Graves is a really great early game champion. That's what I was going to say. His buckshot does so much damage in the early go from levels from rank 2 on. His rank 1 buckshot is actually pretty good too, but rank 2 buckshot on is just amazing. So pairing that up with a Sona, who gives you the power cord. I do not remember the Q cord anymore, but that power cord, it does so much damage. So yeah, that's really strong to see come out, because Sona actually gives a passive right now at rank 1 of 5 AP, 5 AD. So I mean, it's really strong. So yeah, that's all you have to kind of do. Plus, Sona can actually poke in when you're kind of close to him with that power card. Plus the Q ability. I do not remember of it right now, but yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of poke that can happen from Sona and from Graves. While the other hand, between me and Ashe, Cactuar and Ashe, or Ashe and Janna, not really the best per se as a lane in the early go. I mean, I have the Storm Shield will kind of block off a little bit of damage, won't block off too much, while Ashe's volley is on a relatively kind of long cooldown, about 10 seconds over there, so it does take a little bit of time to kind of get into that. I'm going to actually, you know, close out this game, because yeah, I think the lane phase was about to end from this. I'm going to actually go into this game in a little bit, but yeah, so I mean, that is kind of what it is for Janna versus Ashe and Graves versus Sona. I mean, Graves, I mean, undoubted that Sona did start off a little bit earlier without buffs I mean, she was so buff that she had to get super buff. There's super debuffs that's nerfed to the ground, which is really sad, but you know, it is okay. So we're going to be starting up another game pretty soon, but I'm going to go one more thing about laning phase, and then we're going to actually look out for this game. So what should we look out for in support lane / support trading between a Blitzcrank and a Janna? Again, we are seeing Janna Ashe versus, I think it's Ezreal Blitzcrank. So let's go have some fun with this next game. I'm going to take a little bit of break. Again, guys, this is going to be Definitive Esports' Learning League Episode 10, Support Wars. We're going to be looking at this matchup pretty soon. Again, guys, do post on the Twitter webs, do post on everything, but we will be right back.